So how old was Mary when she gave birth to Jesus Christ? Now, general church belief is that she was around 14 years old, but I'm beginning to suspect that she was much older than that. And I'm going to give you my reasons for why I think this. So first and foremost, it's because when she's told by the angel, this is in Luke 1, when she's told by the angel, she's going to get pregnant and she's going to give birth to the Messiah. This is Luke 1:39. It says, "Now at this time, Mary arose and hurried to the hill country to a city of Judah." Okay. Now, when the angel appears to her, it's in Luke 26, and it says, "Now in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city in Galilee called Nazareth." Now, I'll show you the map of Palestine at that time. And Nazareth is many days from Judea, right? Elizabeth lived in a hilly city in Judea, while Mary lived in Nazareth in Galilee. It's quite far and probably many, many days. Okay, so now if Mary was 14 years old, and the impression we're given in verse 39 is that she left by herself, ran off by herself to go and be with Elizabeth. But if you're 14 years old, how do her parents allow a 14-year-old girl to go by herself on a journey to another city, which will take many days? I mean, for me, that doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense also because when Jesus was 12 years old, him and his family, they went to the temple. And okay, 12 and 14, those ages are pretty close. It's not the same age, yeah, but they're pretty close. So anyway, Luke chapter 2, starting from verse 41, his family go to Jerusalem with Mary, Joseph, the rest, and they have a caravan. They go to Jerusalem and then they come back. But when they come back, Jesus is not with them, right? And Jesus is 12 years old. So they start looking for him. And then finally they find him in the temple and they're like, you really worried us, Jesus, why would you do this to us and all? So my point is this. Why were they worried about him if, it's all right for a 14-year-old girl to go running off to another city, which is many days from where they live, right? If Mary can do that, why are they worried about Jesus, right? No, because Jesus was young. You can't just leave a young child like that by himself. And it's the same thing with Mary. You can't tell me that a 14-year-old girl got off by herself, went to a different city, which will take many days. Like, no, I don't believe that. It's far-fetched. Let me just say, it's just really far-fetched. It's hard for me to believe that. So this is the first reason why I think that Mary must have been much older, right? She was either past 18 or past, I would say 18 to 25. Now, the second reason why I think Mary was older than 14 is because of how she speaks with Elizabeth. Now, in Luke 1, verses 7, it tells us that Elizabeth and her husband were quite advanced in age, right? So now Mary, immediately she hears that Elizabeth is pregnant and that she's going to get pregnant, she runs up and joins Elizabeth, right? But for me, I feel like for her to do that, it means that there was a friendship between her and Elizabeth. But if Elizabeth is far advanced in years, so what? Elizabeth is maybe past 60 and Mary is like 14 years old. What type of friendship is there between a 14-year-old and a 60-year-old, right? What type of friendship? I'm not seeing it. Now, I can understand maybe someone in their 20s, right? Being friendly with someone in their 60s and all. But a teenager, it seems far-fetched. I feel that Mary must have been older for her to have been able to cultivate a relationship with Elizabeth. And then on top of that, just the way they speak with each other, you can see that, no, there's something there. And then also, how is Elizabeth her cousin? I know that, yes, maybe Mary's mother remarried, maybe Mary's father remarried, and that's how, you can have cousins who are really far advanced in years, or even siblings who are far advanced. The space between them is quite big and all. But what if it's not? We don't know that. What if it's not? What if Mary and Elizabeth were born around the same time? Okay, well, I doubt they were born around the same time. I don't think Mary was far advanced in years. I know when it says the virgin will give birth, right? That's a prophecy that is designated the prophecy of the virgin birth, right? However, if you read the context, that prophecy that says the virgin will be with child, I got the impression, I've always had this impression that it meant that a lady who was not married, who people thought was never going to get married, she's going to get married and she's going to have a child. That was like the prophecy of the meaning of the prophecy at that time, not knowing that the prophecy actually meant that a real virgin was actually going to give birth, right? But I got the impression whenever I would read that prophecy that it was referring to a lady who had not gotten married at a young age, right? So that's the third why I feel that Mary was much older than 14 years old when she gave birth, when she got pregnant and when she gave birth. So let me know what you think. If you agree with me, maybe if you don't agree with me, and whatever, why you think so, why you disagree.